look into my eyes. Because today we're going to 100% resolve your ED problem in one session, because hypnosis works for 100% of the people 100% of the time. Or maybe not. Let's talk about it. And let's actually do a hypnosis session today. Hey guys, Brian Mahoney here with psychologicaled.com. Okay, I'm a professional hypnotherapist. The title in the video says Hypnosis for Psychological ED. You're here for the hypnosis. Ideally, you'd just be able to sit back, close your eyes, listen to the sound of my words as you fall into a deep trance, and then you'd wake up and your problem would be totally solved. It'd be great. So let's manage expectations and talk about this a little bit. Or if you want to skip right to the part with the hypnosis, just go to this section of the audio or check out the download on psychologicaled.com. Okay, first off, if I was a classical hypnotist, I wouldn't be telling you this. Just like in the intro, I'd be telling you with 100% certainty that you could listen to this audio and I would command your subconscious to change and your problem would be completely solved. I'm not going to do that. That style of hypnosis can be surprisingly effective sometimes, especially for short-term results. But I think it creates some really unrealistic expectations, and I really don't like setting people up for disappointment or having them think I'm full of shit. So there's a couple of variables you want to consider here. First off, in most of the work I'm doing with clients, there are some underlying issues that we're resolving before moving in the direction of anything like the session we're going to be doing later in this video. Hypnotherapy can be a great way of identifying and resolving those underlying issues. This isn't interactive though, so I won't be able to do any of that type of work with you today. Second, people have different levels of hypnotizability. It's a bell curve. And you've got people at one end who really aren't very hypnotizable at all, and then the largest group falls somewhere in the middle, where you've got people who are somewhat hypnotizable, and then on the other end, you have the extremely hypnotizables. The people who are closer to that second end of the spectrum will get a lot more out of this session than those who aren't. Third, the best hypnosis suggestion work is done as part of an interactive process. When I'm working with a client, I really want to be able to know what the words and ideas and feelings are that are important to them. Then I can work those things into any work we're doing so that the suggestions I'm making are ones that really resonate with the client and are most likely to help them change in a positive way. All that said, there's some really common themes I see with guys with psychological ED. So I think it is possible to do a session like this in a way that will resonate with many guys and really help a lot of them. Especially if you listen to it repeatedly, especially if you can listen the right way. If you were listening to a regular podcast or book, you'd probably be kind of analyzing the information as you heard it, actively thinking about what you'll do with it, or maybe even what you'd say to the person who was speaking. For this, I'd encourage you to listen in a different way. I'd encourage you to listen to this like you're listening to soft music, just kind of passively listening and absorbing it, maybe even enjoying it. You've probably been stressing out about your problem for a while. You could think of this as a chance to just kind of relax and assume I'll be the one who's going to do the work for a while.
I want to make it clear that I am not a psychologist or doctor, and the information provided in this video is for general informational purposes only.
Okay, so turn off the chainsaw, shut down the bulldozer, park the car. To get the most out of this, you want to be 100% safe. You want to be in a comfortable place where you can sit or lie down, you can close your eyes, and you can relax for a while without any kind of disturbance. Oh, and you may notice some music in the background. Those are binaural beats. There's a fair amount of research that's been done to prove that they can help your brain more easily go into sleep and meditation type states. So you can hit pause here if you want to take some time to get yourself situated. and then we can begin. All right. Let's get comfortable. If you're using this to go to sleep with at night, you can just stretch out. Put your head back on the pillow. Take a few deep breaths or two. And for a moment, visualize or hear inside of your mind a word you can condense, a word that's meaningful to you. And you can tell yourself, imagine for yourself, that as you proceed, your mind is going to reinforce every positive, constructive, valuable suggestion that that word emulates. It has meaning, especially for you. And if you haven't already closed your eyes, please close them. And with your eyelids closed, just raise your eyes up to the top of your head. Feel that eye strain. And then forget about your eyes. Forget about your breath. Part of your mind has been monitoring your breathing all these years, day in, day out. And speaking of all these years, you can trust it. I have no idea how old you are or how young you are, but a part of your mind knows. Right now, I'd like to take you on a little trip with me. I take my trip on the beach. Actually, it was a beach that I was pretty familiar with at one time. It's at Seaside, Massachusetts. I like a beach to take this trip on because there's so many beautiful and interesting things to focus your attention. For example, there's something very soothing and pleasant to me about the sound of the surf. And I like the freshness of the air, tangy salt smell. And I like the feel of the sand underneath my feet. Warm sand pushing up between my toes. You actually feel the weight of your body shifting if you walk through that sand. What you might do is find a beach of your own, one that you've been to, or a collage of beaches that you've been to, or maybe a beach that you've never been to, that you'd like to go to. But with each breath, begin to get in tune with the beach. The smell of the salt air, the sound of the waves rushing up onto the beach. Now, my beach, I enjoy something, since this is just a fantasy that I never have the pleasure of really enjoying in real life. I have the beach entirely to myself. I can stop and stand and look down on over there at the waves. I can listen to the seagulls. And it's one of those beautiful times in your life when temporarily taking care of your responsibilities and you can just thoroughly enjoy peacefulness, comfort, solitude, beauty of this beach. And in your mind's eye, like you walk down towards the water's edge, down to where the waves come washing up in the sand, and you'll sense the difference. The sand becomes cold and damp under your feet, more firm as you get into the tideland sand, and the froth of the waves come up and wash around your feet. If you look down at the sand, the froth of the wave as it retreats into the ocean begins to look like a lace tablecloth. And I want you to reach down in your mind's eye and draw the number 5 in the sand. 5. 5. And you begin to notice the pleasant sensations starting in your feet. It may start in the toes or the heel. You begin to feel it move through the muscles of the feet. The feeling of relaxation that for some people, this is a heavy sensation. For others, it's a light sensation. Some of you may enjoy a tingling or numb sensation. Begin to notice and appreciate your own particular feeling of relaxation. And as you look at that number 5, feeling of relaxation moves through the muscles and the sinews of the foot, each foot, up through the ankles, through the calves of the legs, clear up to the knees. Beginning today and each and every day in the future, your mind begins to appreciate and recognize the symbol, the number 5, and associate it with this feeling of relaxation from your knees down to your toes. Ooh, look out, here comes another wave. Begins to wash away the number 5. You take a step or two down the beach and reach down and draw the number 4 in the sand. 4. That feeling of relaxation moves up through the back of your knees into your thighs. Every muscle, every nerve, every fiber of the body is relaxing. It's even moving all the way up through the hips, the buttocks. And 4 becomes the symbol that your mind begins to associate with this feeling of relaxation, the absence of tension from your hips to your knees. And then the wave washes away the number 4. And you draw the number 3 in the sand. 3. That feeling of relaxation moves up through the groin, up into the abdominal muscles, up into the small of the back. Then enjoy that feeling of relaxation as it moves up through the stomach muscles, the solar plexus, and on up into the chest muscles. And as your chest muscles expand and relax, you may begin to notice a very pleasant sensation as though a soft weight pressing on your chest. It's all right. Then as you look at the number 3, a feeling of relaxation in the small of your back begins to inch up along the spine. Every muscle, every little muscle around each vertebrae relaxes. Larger muscles in the back relax all the way up. And 3 becomes a symbol that your mind associates with this feeling of relaxation of the torso. Here comes a wave, washing away the number 3. Move down the beach a little bit. And draw the number 2 in the sand. 2. And that feeling of relaxation begins to move into those large muscles in the shoulders. Trapezius. Feel that relaxation radiating out of your shoulders, down into your arms, down through the elbows, forearms, into your hand. All the little tiny muscles in the fingers relax. And you can let the tension drain off your fingertips. And any cares or concerns of the day, the week, the month, they're not important right now. Let them drain off your fingertips. Just like when you take a nice warm shower so that water dreams of your fingertips and a wave washes away the number 2. And then draw the number 1 in the sand. 1. That feeling of relaxation moves up into the neck muscles, the throat muscles. As your throat muscles relax, you may have a desire to swallow. That's all right. You feel that relaxation moving up the back of your head, under the scalp. The tiny little muscles under the scalp relax. And feel it descending over your forehead, over your eyes, into the facial muscles. And as your jaw muscles relax, you may notice your jaw separates slightly, and that's all right. And notice the calm, peaceful state of mind, so that in the future, your mind will begin to associate with symbol the number 1, this feeling of relaxation in the neck, the throat, scalp, and the facial muscles. Also, the peaceful, calm state of mind. Let's walk back up onto the warm sand. Feel the warmth in your feet as you're walking back up onto the beach. And you can look over your shoulder. Watch a wave washing away the number 1. And up on that warm sand, you can use a foot to inscribe a great big circle in the sand, like a large 0. Take a beach blanket or a towel and spread out that blanket or towel and stretch out on that sand. And enjoy the warmth of the sand radiating up into your body, the warmth of the sun radiating down in your body. And each breath as you breathe in, relax a little bit more. Each breath as you exhale, relax a little more deep. But no matter how deeply you relax, part of your mind will be listening, recording, utilizing any and every constructive, valuable idea, thought, and suggestion that I offer to you that is helpful to you. And it will reinforce and set in motion those suggestions when they're right for you. Those ideas that you've offered yourself. And now you just let yourself drift more and more comfortably with each breath you take. And as you continue to drift comfortably, it might be reassuring to recognize that there's a part of your mind that's completely unfettered, completely open to constructive alternatives. I do. There's a part of your mind that knows how to learn without knowing how it learns. And sometimes that's confusing for the conscious part of your mind. And it might be reassuring to recognize that there's a part of your mind that's completely unfettered, completely open to constructive alternatives. I do. And you can too. As you imagine drifting from the beach down into a deep, pleasant dream of a pleasant street where you see a pleasantly familiar man who approaches you, smiling, to tell you a joke. What did the farmer say when he lost his tractor? That might be a good thing to know. If you'd like to begin to let go of any of those thoughts you'd been having, you could start to think about learning, because it's natural, which is really what this is all about. Nature, like a beach, like unlearning, which is just another way of saying forgetting. The way you can remember to forget what really wasn't that important in the first place now. Or in a second or two, you can ask yourself, what have I kind of forgotten about natural sex that might feel good, really good, to begin to remember again now? Really good. Which isn't to say that unlearning isn't natural too. You've probably had the experience of forgetting your keys or the name of someone you met a long time ago. Or, I don't know if you can remember what you had for lunch on the second Tuesday of last month. So you can remember to forget some of those things that were kind of bleh to hold on to, even as things that might feel really good to hold on to, you can. Or you let go of those other things you don't need anymore. And isn't it nice to know that you can do both those things at the same time? Because that's the thing about the nature of things like an old pressure cooker that's been put away and forgotten so that you can actually enjoy the meal naturally. It's just easier, more comfortable to let nature take its course, learning what's useful and unlearning the rest. In pretty much the same way you've forgotten some of the things you learned in school because you don't need them anymore. So your unconscious knows how to leave the extra bags back at the station every time it reorganizes things for you while you sleep. And if you were to remember to not forget what it was like when you were younger, that sexual energy, the way it feels in your body, to have that sexual drive flowing through you, that power in your body, I can only guess what that would be like to have that feeling again now. I mean, if I were standing on a set of railroad tracks and a train was coming, you'd probably find it pretty easy to remember to just get out of the way and let all of that momentum go where it wants to go naturally, where that track takes that train, would you not? You know, it really doesn't matter if you're still wondering about that question I just asked consciously, analytically considering it with a sharp, aware, conscious mind, or with your unconscious, natural sex, that deep creative part of your mind that sees the big picture, naturally. Because the really important question that I haven't asked yet is the one that deep down in your unconscious, you know the answer to. The answer that might just kind of surface in a new way that has you begin seeing this whole thing from a different angle that just feels like kind of a relief to let go, couldn't it? And I don't know if that will happen today or natural sex tomorrow, or maybe even sooner. It's your mind, not mine after all. But I think it's nice to know that you could hold on to the idea of letting go of the question and feel good knowing that no matter what you think you are always more than that, right? Or maybe you're thinking, that's just a bunch of gobbledygook. And all we're really talking about here is nature, the natural flow of energy through a system. And of course, nature's knows how to take its course, whether it's a horse, of course, or a farm, of course, or a big, beefy football player sitting there on the bench, one who's just a powerhouse of energy, ready to get into the game, just ready to go as soon as the natural sex coach can let go and let him into the game. It's just nature. Or a big cat in the jungle, just ready, just about to pounce on its prey. Or a tiny bud in spring, it's just barely breaking the surface of the dirt. It's all natural. Not like some foods you trust your body to digest, right? More like the day that when you went to plant your seeds naturally and nature takes care of the sunshine and nature takes care of the water, they just grow. It's a very natural process. Because I don't know if you can imagine seeing a farmer standing out in a field and just yelling at this big, tall plant, or what it would be like to get closer and closer to him, moving to the point where you can just almost hear what he's yelling about when you consider what it would be like to actually visit with a real hypnotist. What his office might look like, the feel of his chair or his couch, the sound of his voice, the kinds of things he might say to you. How it would feel if he began to guide you into a deep trance. Imagining what it would feel like if you were floating in a deep, comfortable trance. Arms and legs floating, body floating, head floating deeper and deeper down. And just before he began to share his suggestions with you, he told you he'd just been to a county fair and he'd been in a 3-legged race, one of those races where they tie the ankles of 2 guys together and then they get to run together. And he asked you, hey, how well would you treat your partner if you were in a race like that? And as you began to wonder about the answer to that kind of question, familiar voice appeared in your mind, and it said, focus what's happening outside, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're touching, what you're tasting, what you're smelling. It's better on the outside. It's more fun on the outside. Hearing that voice tell you, you're probably moving in the right directions to a place where you can remember what it feels like to feel really good again, naturally. It might be a memory of your conscious mind or your unconscious body recall of what it's like to know when you're really relaxed and comfortable. And if the voice asked you, if you could be in any way different from how you've been, okay? And think about it this way. If you weren't paying attention to that stuff because it's just no longer an issue, what kinds of things would you be paying attention to now? Probably not a poor, skinny little guy in glasses out there doing the very best he can in the field while that big bruiser of a player is sitting back there on the bench ready to natural sex go, wondering how soon the coach is going to let him back into the game unfettered. I had a client once who actually wasn't able to help very much before. He went to an old school American type Chinese restaurant later where his friends would tack on the word in bed to the fortunes in the cookies when they read them. What have you not been paying attention to in bed that you can now? What have you not been curious about in bed that might feel good to be curious about now? What have you not been feeling in bed that you might begin to now? And when he succeeded on his own later, he was almost laughing about it. He told me that he just got it. It's really simple. What he realized was, it's just not that big a deal. 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 But then what if that voice you'd heard showed up and showed you that you don't need to read a lot of fortunes or ask a lot of questions if you're tending to plants? It's all about simple ideas. ABC. Nature has a way of kind of letting him back into the game after he's expectorated all those expectations, maybe to the point where you can notice the one thing beyond those stories that can open up new possibilities of how you can just relax and float and let more and more of that energy move through your body. And you might find your attention drifting back to the hypnotist as he begins to speak while you float in your mind with the sound of his voice, letting you know that you can hold on and you can let go. And isn't it nice to know that you can do both at the same time? You can hold on to whatever feels nice. You can let go of whatever doesn't. And you can do both at the same time. You can hold on to your drive, and you can let go of those thoughts you've been having. You can do both at the same time. You can hold on to what feels really nice, and you can let go of the other stuff. And isn't it nice to know you can do both at the same time? You can hold on, and you can let go. And isn't it nice to know that you can do both at the same time? And he says it so many times, it's almost like staining a board. And it's the stain soaking into the bare wood. It just soaks in. It soaks in, filling up that hardwood board. And as you're there in his office, contemplating the nature of allowing nature to take its course back to a farm where the farmer seems kind of quiet now, comfortable now, surrounded by his big, tall plants, idly wondering out loud what he may have learned about nature that happened outside of his conscious awareness on the inside, where all the best learning happens, natural sex. What he knows about nature now that has him feeling so calm and comfortable for the rest of the season. And how nice it might be for those plants, too. And as the sound of his voice fades in your natural sex mind, you may think you're really catching some of the suggestions he's making to your unconscious. And if you do, I just want you to know that's okay. It works even better that way. And you may think, I don't think I was hypnotized. And that's okay too, because it doesn't matter if you've experienced twice the trance or half the hypnosis, or if you're still wondering where that tractor went. Your unconscious has probably deeply absorbed every suggestion I've made if it was a good, healthy, positive one for you to receive suggestions without you ever having to really realize how hypnotized you were or were not at this time or any other. Because either way, the next time you'll listen, you'll probably find you go twice as deep, twice as quickly. You might not even make it past 5. Either that or your field of awareness might get 3 times wide enough to include all the things beyond my words that can really help you move in the direction you want to move in, to grow in the way you want to grow, to feel what you want to feel. And this can begin to, natural sex, take root outside of your conscious awareness, as your unconscious can take every good, positive, healthy idea I've mentioned and allow the energy of those ideas to continue to generalize outside of your conscious awareness, making new connections. And especially as you sleep, the unconscious is usually really good about generalizing positive learning and energy through the mind-body system in a way that makes it easy to just kind of glide on the energy of these unconscious insights so you feel good, just letting it be easy to glide along in this new energy, if that's okay with you at that deep heart gut level, to allow yourself to continue to grow. So, taking whatever time you like to reorient yourself in the here and now, or drifting off into a deep, restful sleep, or opening your eyes again, or letting them stay closed as you fall deeper and deeper asleep. All right, that's it, guys. I hope you get the sense that this helps you. And if it does, keep in mind that the more you listen to it, the more likely it is to help. Repetition is a really good thing with something like this. I'm Brian Mahoney with psychologicaled.com. If you ever want to talk about working together one-on-one, just give me a call or drop me a note. Either way, I hope this video helps you continue to move in the direction of a really happy, healthy, fun sex life again. Thanks for watching.